Welcome to Talk Travel with Heather Tate, North Mississippi's podcast for savvy travelers. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is a weekly podcast that airs every Monday on the Shark 102.3 FM radio station based in Ripley, Mississippi, and is then released as a podcast. Travel advisor and travel enthusiast Heather Tate of Whimsical Destinations gives listeners expert travel tips curated through the years of personal and professional experience. By clicking subscribe, you'll have a new travel tip to add to your collection delivered to your podcast library every Monday. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is brought to you by Sun Bear Studio. Sun Bear Studio is a boutique recording studio in the heart of Ripley, Mississippi. When you record with us at Sun Bear Studio, we can mix, master, register, and publish your music, your podcast, or your family story. Email us when you're ready at sunbear@jc.media.
This week, I celebrate 10 years of officially being in the travel industry. Although it has been a lifelong passion and pursuit of mine, I am often asked for my top travel tips. So, to celebrate, I compiled a list of my top 10 tips, one for each year as a travel advisor. And if you've been tuning into our show over the past few years, these may not come as a surprise to you because this will not be the first time you have heard any of these, but I thought it'd be a great place to put them all together. So if you're just wanting to know my best experience tips I can give you, here it is all in one place, in no particular order. All right, the first one. You probably know I'm already going to say this, to get your passports. That's right. Don't wait until after you've booked the trip internationally to go ahead and order your passports. Get them now. You don't know what this year could hold. And it may be that you decide on a last-minute adventure, and you don't want to have to scramble to try to get your passports ordered. Or you see a really good deal on flights, and you want to be able to book those flights that day. But if you don't have your passports, I do not recommend booking those international flights yet. Or maybe you already have your passports, but it's been a while since you've traveled. I recommend right now checking to make sure when they expire. Are they still valid? Would you have at least 6 months after travel for your next trip that they're going to still be valid? Because this is the best time. Every January, just make a point to either order your passport or check to make sure your current passport is valid and will be valid for the rest of the year. All right, tip number 2, pack lightly. Now, I have podcast episodes, I would say probably about each one of these topics individually where I expand on them. So this is just going to be a quick, recap of these. But when I say pack lightly, I would suggest that you consider carry on luggage, even if it's for a cruise, especially if it's for a flight. Take more money and less stuff. I read that once, that when you're packing for a trip, you should lay everything out that you're wanting to take on the trip and cut in half the amount of things you're taking and double the amount of money that you're planning on taking, and then you'll be good. Now, it does vary from trip to trip what you would need to take, and I understand. And there may be some places that you're going where some things may not be as accessible as others to be able to get. But most of the time, we carry too many clothes and too many shoes. I'm saying this from personal experience. I once took a cruise where I think I had 7 pairs of shoes. Now, I know you need a couple of pairs for different occasions, but I didn't need 7, and I did not wear a different pair of shoes every day. So that's my own advice that I now take, where when we fly, I fly with a carry-on. I just came back from a cruise, a 12-day trip, where we were flying to Puerto Rico, and then we were boarding a ship for 7 days where I was going to need evening wear, where I was going to need outfits for excursions, different types of shoes, and I managed to pack everything in a carry-on suitcase and a backpack. So I'm not recommending you do something that I would not do myself. All right, number 3. This is all to do with budgeting for your trips. So you want to plan and budget realistically for travels if you really want them to happen. So this can happen in many ways. One of my top tips is to open up a travel savings account. It is going to be very difficult for most people to plan these adventures, right, if you do not prepare for them. So I suggest preparing now a little bit every month is a lot easier than trying to come up with the full amount all at once. So even if you don't have a trip on the horizon yet for 2026, you're thinking, oh, I may not even go till later in the summer or the fall, or maybe Christmas, or, oh, I'm not even thinking about one this year. I'll go next year. You want to start planning and saving right now. All right, number 4, make a bucket list. A lot of people have no idea really where they want to go. I have guests all the time, clients that message me, and they're like, I know I want to go somewhere, but I don't know where I want to go. And when you don't have a clue where you want to go, of course, I can recommend some of my favorite places. But it really helps if you have an idea of where you're excited about. Because if you're excited about a destination, you're more likely to turn that dream into a countdown. So I challenge you, make a list of places that you've heard of, that you're interested in, or if you see pictures on Facebook where someone just got back from a trip and it looks amazing, write it down. So then later on, when you're trying to think of a place where you want to go this year for your anniversary trip or family summer vacation, you already have some ideas. And I also challenge you along with that to go to new places. That's the whole point of a bucket list. You're not writing down places you've been, things you've already seen, things you've done. It's the things you haven't seen yet that you want to experience. Number 5, the grand title of this would be Make Those Memories, which you hear me say each and every week. But specifically, I'm going to say this tip is to travel with your kids, especially when they are young and still at home. It does not mean that you cannot travel with your adult kids. I have clients every week that they're planning fun family vacations for their adult children and their grandchildren. So they're making memories with multi-generations. But when your kids are at home, sometimes it's easy to think that, you'll have more time to do this later. Or maybe they're too young to really appreciate this experience. I have found that more often than not, families wait until it's too late, not too early, to take these trips with their families. Now, are there some places that are more age appropriate for babies and toddlers and preschoolers and young elementary age kids? Of course. And there's lots of options for those. So there may be some places that you're wanting to wait on. I have been waiting, personally, to do an Alaskan cruise with our boys until they got to be about the ages they are now. So that's something we are really looking into for 2027 because they're the ages now. I'm thinking, okay, I may not do an Alaskan cruise but once, or if I do another one, it could be years from now. When can I go with my boys that it can make the most impact? Now, that doesn't mean we haven't been traveling every year of their lives, but I have saved specific trips for specific times. I've been waiting for Hawaii personally until this year, until I felt like my boys were old enough that they're going to, really remember that experience. But that doesn't mean they haven't been all over Europe. They haven't been on cruises. They haven't been to Disney and Universal. They haven't been to national parks throughout the U.S. Lots of different trips we've already done because I picked them when I felt like they were age appropriate. But I will never regret going to Disney when they were babies, when they were toddlers. I feel like right before they're 3 is a magic age and they're still free. So it makes it even more magical. But ages, 4, 5, and 6 are wonderful. And the last time I went to Disney with my boys who are now 13 and 9, I will say it was missing just a little spark of the magic that it had when they were younger. When they wouldn't tell me what they would and what they wouldn't wear, when they didn't light up with the characters at a character meal like they did when they were younger. So I feel like one mistake is that sometimes parents, we wait until kids are too old instead of enjoying the moment when they're younger to have these memories of adventures. All right, number 6, be flexible. You've heard me talk about this a lot, but I'm going to specifically say here, especially with airfare, check multiple airports. I know Memphis is the closest airport to most of us here in Northeast Mississippi, Birmingham being a close second. Nashville, not too far off. Oftentimes, we don't even want to consider Atlanta. However, Atlanta is the closest major international hub for us here in Northeast Mississippi. Does that mean a 4 to 4.5 hour drive there? Yes, it does. So sometimes that means it gets skipped over and not even considered. But for just a couple hours further of a drive, you can not only get nonstop options, but you could save hundreds, if not sometimes thousands on flights, especially if it were an international flight. Believe me, from personal experience, I have guests who were just looking at Amsterdam. Those flights were going to be $3,000 a person from Memphis versus $1,000 a person from Atlanta. And that's a $2,000 difference. Now, not always will it be that big of a difference, but it's worth considering. Number 7, plan for the unexpected. And one way you can do that is to always add the insurance. Add that travel protection. If you're traveling during hurricane season, add the travel protection. If you're flying, add the travel protection. If you're traveling internationally, if you're traveling and taking a cruise ship, add the travel protection. That's number 7. Okay, number 8. Sometimes things are worth the extra cost. Now, I will admit, when Logan and I were first married, we were young, wanted to travel as much as we could. There were times that, for one, I would let go of the travel protection because we thought we were invincible then. We thought it wouldn't be an issue. We wanted to save that couple $100s. But there were also times when we were like, okay, we'll stay further away from the destination where we really want to be, the best location, because we're trying to save money. And okay, we'll sacrifice comfort. I'll look at reviews and, I'll take this option, even if it doesn't have the best reviews, because I'm going to save, $40 or $50 a night. Not as convenient, not the best location, not as comfortable. And here's what I have experienced over years of traveling, especially these last 10 years, that sometimes things are worth a little extra cost. Sometimes they're not. So that's why having a travel professional to help you navigate when it's important to pay a little bit more and when you can opt out for something. Maybe it's better to lose a night of the trip. Instead of 7 nights, do 6 nights. Instead of 6 nights, 5 nights, and be able to have a better overall experience with one less day. So I think now convenience, the location, which can sometimes mean the overall, what you're able to do, safety, what's included, all of these things, I think there's something different between value and straight up cost. All right, number 9. This kind of goes along with being flexible, but it's a little different. Travel shoulder season when you can. So think outside the box of when you want to travel. Instead of Christmas week, which is Christmas to New Year's, which is a very popular week to travel, consider the week before Christmas instead. Or wait until mid-January to take that Christmas trip. If you travel during shoulder season, you are more likely to save a lot of money, to be able to stay at better places longer for less. Also, take the PTO. Let the kids miss a couple of days of school. Now, I know I'm saying this, and that is a personal decision, but my thoughts are, and this is from being a higher level educator for 7.5 years. I taught college English, that there is nothing that in a couple days of classroom that your child can get, that they can't get that and then some on an adventure, whether it's international or domestic. A few days, that doesn't mean you just take off without, any explanation and not talking to the teacher, the principal, the school board first, but it means not being afraid to at least consider that. To see what can my child do to make sure that they are caught up on their work before they go or by the time they get back. What is something extra they can do, whether it's a book report or whether it's a report about their experience. Maybe they document it. They do a video, a slideshow, a poster board. What is something they can do from this experience in addition to the work that they're going to need to make up, that they will be able to get permission for this trip. So don't forget that. And number 10. Take more pictures, buy less things. So save on the souvenirs. Everyone doesn't have to get that sweatshirt or a t-shirt from a destination you go to. If you want to incorporate a budget for souvenirs, that's a great idea. Or maybe think about how can we make sure we are getting a local souvenir, something that means something on this trip, like it was handmade, handcrafted there. So then you're helping the locals by buying something that was made there. It's something then that represents that specific location, that trip you had, those memories. But then you're also not just filling your house with more stuff. You're spending that time focusing on the memories. So like I said, take more pictures. Make a photo book when you get back. Make ornaments from your photos from your trip. That's something that you can do where you're still having souvenirs, but they may not be in the traditional sense where you're just buying a bunch of stuff. All right, I'm going to give you one more bonus because even though I've been in the travel industry for 10 years, we're going on the 11th now. And this is where I'm going to leave you with this week. Take the trip. You won't regret it. At the end of your life, when you look back, you are not going to regret the trips that you took, but you could regret the memories that you missed out on. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Talk Travel with Heather Tate. If you're not already a part of our Facebook group, Heather and Logan Tate, Whimsical Destinations, I hope you check it out because we're going to share a lot of memories and hope that you tune in and join with us.
This show is made possible by JC Media, LLC in Ripley, Mississippi. JC Media owns the Shark 102.3 Classic Rock FM radio station where the show is hosted and Sun Bear Recording Studio where the interviews are recorded. We need your feedback and support. If you listen to the podcast on a player like iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music, please subscribe to the show and leave us a review. We also have an email in which you can share your feedback. That email is theshark1023@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app or stream episodes online at shark1023.com/podcasts. Today's episode was produced by Melinda Marsalis. It was edited by Rick Williams and engineered by Chris Marsalis. The podcast technician is Joyce Grady.